Do you see a potential solution being a licensing scheme, like emerging?
So it is emerging. So a lot of the, some of the image databases, the companies that are in the business of licensing images have started licensing companies to train AI pursuant to a license. They're getting paid to do it. And so, yes, that is part of the solution. But that's kind of, there's two parts to your question in my mind. One is, that type of licensing where, an owner of a collection of images goes to a company and licenses them, that's pretty easy and pretty straightforward, right? You can negotiate a commercial license of whatever scope. The bigger question, some people are proposing there should be like a mandatory or compulsory licensing, that if you're pick a big company without mentioning a name, like using a lot of images from the internet, like there should be some compensation scheme to all copyright owners. I don't know how you implement that. I really don't, because it's too difficult, I think, to know what actually was used and what both in the training and in the output, and trying to figure out a compensation scheme may be difficult. But you used a word in your question about lack of transparency. And that's one of the reasons the FTC, maybe not necessarily for licensing purposes, but one of the things the FTC is also really advocating is transparency in how these models are trained and what they're trained on. And so if there's transparency, if for example, the company's training models are required to be transparent about what they're using, then it will be easier to see what they actually did train on. And if there's a licensing scheme, you might be able to more readily determine what content was used and how.
I think, just so we don't take up too much of your time, I want to pivot to a pretty different question, which is, how much of a threat does generative AI pose to lawyers? How scared should current law school students be?
It's a great question. And I've been thinking about this. I'm actually teaching a law school class on AI this fall. And I want to be thoughtful in what I say to law students. So my thoughts are still evolving as a qualification, but I'm not sure I would say scared. I would certainly say absolutely be mindful of it. But there's been a shift over the last several years, maybe decade or so, whatever, that's impacted early, younger lawyers already. When you think about electronic discovery and you look at, electronic document review and other tools that are out there, those are, and even like legal research and brief writing, right? There's tools that can do research and kind of format results if you pose questions well. And you can do an outline and, it can generate a first draft of a brief for you. So I think the more routine or basic work that a lot of, first, second, third years, have typically done, I think that's going to change. And so I think what's not going to change is, I don't think large language model, or AI tools will replace lawyers anytime soon, because there's still a lot of strategies, a lot of like looking at things. And look, there's going to be increasing, the AI tools will increase in their efficiency, even in finding arguments between cases and facts. And I mean, I think there's going to be significant advances. But I think, having said all that, I think that it's really, think about how you can like leverage that, right? And so I can tell you about, while I've been practicing law for 35 years, a lot of the lawyers, of my vintage aren't getting into the technology of AI, not really learning about it. And I think to really understand the AI and the legal issues I've mentioned many times, it's fact dependent. And some of that is, how does the technology work? And so I think lawyers who have, spend time educating themselves on how AI works and how the different tools work, what the differences are, can create an opportunity for themselves. And so I think, with every, you asked, is it, should they be scared? I look at things and say, don't be scared, find the opportunity. Anytime there's something scary, that means there's an opportunity. So find the opportunity and leverage it. I think what that means over time will probably vary, but I think as far as a general direction, I think that's one of the things I would advise students.
Well, thanks for that wisdom. Jim, it's been a fascinating conversation, and I've learned a lot, and I'm sure that our viewers, our potential viewers will learn a huge amount too, and also be reassured by your final answer. So unless there's anything else you have to say, any other kernels of wisdom, I think we can go ahead and sign off now.
Well, I enjoyed doing this with you, you two. I hope this is successful for you, and I look forward to looking at the other videos you record with other people. It's certainly an area where it requires constant learning. Even people who have been in the space a while, there's new stuff to learn every day. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to do this and disseminating useful information, and look forward to the other videos that you make.
Thank you so much, Jim.
My pleasure. Take care.